Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 24th, 2026 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. And you can email me at richard@wcpt820.com. Follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. And catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Patty Vasquez driving it home, and Edwin Eisendrath's It's the Democracy Stupid, our Chicago and our other shows and interviews. Also in the evenings, the Politics Bar, Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show. That's what's happening here. And then, of course, as always, the wonderful heartlandsignal.com, our digital platform that you can make your way over to. A couple of quick things that are happening there. Vivek Ramaswamy's luxury jet travel continues to fuel criticism during this Ohio governor's race. Good article that we've got there. And then John Parker, who we had on last week with the Gailey Show, talks with the Minnesota DFL chairman, Richard Carlboom. And what they're discussing is how this year's elections are similar to the 2012 campaign, and really getting into the conversation around gay marriage bans. So you'll appreciate that piece. And the other part of the conversation that John had is that being shocked to see the number of people, the engagement in terms of the number of people that are getting involved in Minnesota politics and other politics throughout the Midwest and, frankly, the rest of the country. So two really good segments there with John. You'll want to check those out. Really want to thank again yesterday's guest, President of Columbia College, Shante Bolton. Some of the responses that I got from people about how energetic she was about education. And I didn't want to forget to mention that again today. And she really was. She just really brought a great energy to the conversation and how Columbia College is really, one of the best, if not best in the Chicagoland area when it comes to communication and education, and utilizing technology to build their brand and make things better for their students, but not getting away from the creativity, the human creativity. And I had a number of people that said, they were just inspired by her energy and her vision. And also, Ann Kim was with us yesterday, who's a senior editor of the Washington Monthly, and check out her work there. And then, Mayor Daniel Biss really has some great things to say about election, campaign reform, and the race that he ran and the things that he knows that he's going to have to do if he were to win this congressional seat in Illinois' 9th congressional district. So check out our show from yesterday. Really three great folks that brought some great information to us that you guys will appreciate, and you can certainly go to our website to do that, as you know. On today's show, we'll be talking with Eric Heineman, who is the CEO of Windfree Solar. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that they're doing with regard to strengthening our solar conversation in Illinois and what the state legislature is doing in that conversation as well. And some bright spots, some things he thinks that we need to improve on, as well as some involvement that they've had with the Obama Library and what's happening in the solar conversation there. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us. And we got a lot to talk about, but I know that we're going to talk a little bit about I want to talk a little bit about what have been some really interesting revelations recently with Tulsi Gabbard. And also we'll talk a little bit about the Obama Center. But the other big story that, you guys, if you've heard, is what's happening with the races in New York and how a number of progressive left candidates did well, and very well, in fact. So we will get into that a little bit when Kurt's on with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And then at 7:30, Chicago's own Yusef Jackson, the son of the late civil rights leader Jesse Jackson, will be with us. And looking forward to chatting with him about what's happening with Operation Push and how they're moving forward and continuing to keep that bright light for so many people open and shining bright. So looking forward to our guests this morning, as always, and I wanted to give an additional shout-out to our folks from yesterday because they really hit some important chords in the conversation that we're all having right now. So today's question. So I thought about this last night, and I thought about it from this perspective in terms of broadly what's happening with races that are the special elections, that are the primary elections that we've seen in many areas. And last night in New York is a good example. We had ours here in Illinois. And one of the things that came to mind is this. There are a number of people who think that or question if Democrats, and here's the question. There are those who think Democrats should no longer rely on the consultancy class in preparing for elections. So again, there are those who think that Democrats should no longer rely on the consultancy class when preparing for elections on all levels. So I want to know what you guys think and who or what should Democrats use instead if you think that they should no longer rely on the consultancy class. My thoughts on this, I'll share them with you now. My thoughts are a balance is always. I mean, here's why I say that, and I'll share it with you now, and you guys can give us your thoughts by going to by sending me a text at 773-763-9278. Give us a call. We'll grab your comments. Henry's going to open the lines in a bit, and go to our Facebook page and leave your comments there. But here's where I am in this space. I think we find our way forward by listening to the voices that are on the ground, as well as those that are in the corporate boardroom. And let me tell you why. Because until we get money completely out of politics, we have to deal with that part. So we have to deal with fighting the money that's part of consultancy, campaign consultants, and all the rest. But we got to listen to the people, and the people are giving a better lesson in consulting to the candidates than in many cases the consultancy class is. And New York kind of proved that in some ways, and I think it's proving itself through other primaries in other parts of the country. But New York kind of proved that the ground level campaign, the ground level fight, is upon us, and we need to embrace it as part of the big tent that we talk about. Mayor Biss made some references to the fact that each district's got to fight maybe a little bit differently than each district's got to look at its district, see what it's made of, and then increase the size of the voters in that district. That's not something that many people, if any, are saying. Many of us are saying we have to have a big tent. Many of us are saying that we need to be more progressive, and that I agree with. But what Mayor Biss said is also something that's got to be brought into the conversation. We have to increase the participation per district and not just look at participating, having bigger numbers globally. Because if you think about it, if we have more people that show up for congressional races to vote, we, by default, are going to have more people that vote in the bigger elections. It's just the math of addition in politics. So Mayor Biss is right. We've got to make sure that the districts, the congressional districts, the state legislative districts are growing in terms of voter participation. Is that a result of, is that going to happen with better candidates? Sure. But it's also going to happen with better ideas and better platforms about what we're getting fixed, what we're getting resolved. And I think that a lot of times a consultancy class doesn't look at that because they are in the boardroom rather than on the ground. They're not looking at what is it that the individuals that are right there in the neighborhood, that aldermanic ward as we have here in Chicago, and in other parts of the country, they're called different things, but same thing. The city official, is he or she on the ground getting it right for the people that are part of that city district or that aldermanic ward like we have here in Chicago? And then we expand those numbers and participation. Then we expand those to the congressional districts and have higher turnout. And then we expand that to the mayoral elections and the governor's elections and then our federal elections. So Mayor Biss is right about that. I think but to do that, we've got to measure ourselves a little bit differently when it comes to the consultancy class, being the ones telling us what needs to be done versus going and finding it out on the ground. So my answer to my question is there needs to be both, but there needs to be a serious trending toward getting more participation as a result of getting in, having conversations and day-to-day activism on the ground. So we'll see where you guys land in that space. There are those who think Democrats should no longer rely on the consultancy class in preparing for elections. What do you guys think, and who or what do you think that they should use? Let's take a quick break, Henry. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT in Chicago. AM 820 is our number, 1520 AM and 103.5 FM. That's the folks down at WARR in Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That's where we are. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, I'm sorry, I should say you're listening to Choose Views here on WCPT in Chicago. I'm Richard Chu. And let's hit them with a couple of quick Choose Views news items on this June 24th, 2026. The tech sell-off pressures are really showing their way on the NASDAQ, the S&P, as the AI rally is stalling. That's because of a sell-off of technology stocks that was accelerated yesterday amid the mounting investor concerns over AI-related valuations and the sustainability of those. Many companies are not making the money that they projected they would. The NASDAQ fell 2.2%, while the S&P slipped 1.4%, and the Dow was roughly flat. Semiconductor shares were amongst the hardest hit, with NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD each declining. U.S. factory job cuts reached their highest levels since 2020. The U.S. jobs factories have cut, and those cuts have surged to levels not seen since the onset of COVID shutdowns in 2020, and before that, since the 2009 financial crisis. Concerns over global demand and rising costs are driving the job losses, and a new report by the S&P Global finds that while manufacturing did show a little bit of improvement earlier this month, inventory rebuilding, and analysts are fearing that the bump was temporary. All righty, Starbucks is to hire thousands of coffee house coaches. What's that all about? Starbucks will hire thousands of coffee house coaches this year as it looks to keep boosting store operations. The coffee giant said yesterday that the roles will offer current baristas more opportunities for career growth, since most coaches will be internal hires. Starbucks started testing out coffee house coaches in about a half a dozen markets last October and found that the addition to the full-time and store leaders made for better customer experiences and better overall performance. And last but not least, Bath & Body Works expands into Ulta's business amid the product push. What does that mean? A selection of Bath & Body Works products will be available to buy inside of more than 600 Ulta beauty store locations. and on Ulta.com starting in mid-July. To promote their collaboration, Bath & Body Works said it will revive the retired scent Juniper Breeze, Henry, for a limited time, exclusively at Ulta. The news comes as Body & Bath Works implements its consumer-first formula strategy to drive growth and be more customer aware. So there you go, guys. A couple of quick Choose Views news items, some businesses that are doing some good things to improve not only their customer experience, but that of the employees that work there. So got to give them their shout outs when they do some things that are moving in the right direction. This Saturday, June 27th, the Bronzeville Black Metropolis National Heritage Area will be hosting a very special event, the 5th annual Ida B. Wells Festival celebrating Bronzeville. This free event takes place from 9 until 6:30 p.m. and is open to all. From 3 until 4:30, I will be moderating a panel discussion co-hosted, of course, by WCPT at Illinois Tech, 10 West 35th Street here in Chicago. It's called The Long Fight to Gain and Retain Voting Rights, and we refuse to go back. Panelists include Devorah Crable, activist here in Chicago, Dr. Anthony Douglas, Dr. Thomas Fisher, who ran for Congress, and Congresswoman Robin Kelly. To register to attend, please visit blackmetropolis.org and click on the Ida B. Wells Festival banner. Hope to see you there. I'll be there. We'll look forward to having some fun and talking about the importance of voting and the history of that here in America. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan will be talking to Aaron Kleinman, Heartland Signal's senior political analyst and author of Radio Free America and that newsletter. John Fugelsang, as you all know, comedian, radio host, and author of Separation of Church and Hate. Lauren Miller, Texas mother who was forced to travel to Colorado for an abortion in 2022 and became a plaintiff in the Zorowski versus State of Texas. She's now a human rights activist, abortion rights activist. She'll be with Joan today. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com. Tune in. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Ken Mejia Beal, and their guest will be car guy Tom Appel, Amanda Zorowski, reproductive rights activist. And so great to have such a good lineup of folks on both shows. Tomorrow on Choose Views, Dan Summons, director of Blessings in a Backpack, will be with us to talk about what they're getting ramped up for with this upcoming school season. Jessica Hawk, retired teacher and content creator, also known as My Teacher Face, and Ohio State Rep Dooney Isaacson, minority leader of the House of Representatives in Ohio. Friday on the show, of course, Professor Kevin Schultz will be back for another America at 250 conversation. And then we'll look at religion and reform in America with guest Ronnie Grinberg of the University of Oklahoma, and Barbara McQuaid will be joining in. So there you go. Join me every day here on WCPT, and make sure you make your way over to our Heartland Signal website. And, of course, grab the featured interviews and full episodes by going to and grabbing the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, Amazon Music as well. So there you go, guys. What's happening here and around WCPT and things that are going on in and around the city of Chicago. But yeah, by all means, make your way to blackmetropolis.org so that you can sign up to attend the event on Saturday. And specifically, if you want to be part of the discussion, the panel discussion that I'll be moderating with our 4 guests. So that should be fun. Some stories you guys may not have heard about. A couple things you may not have been heard about but paid attention to at the same time. I caught some information about how Trump and his allies are threatening to shut down the House unless their election rigging bill is passed. Trump allies see control of Congress slipping away and Trump's presidency being sent into lame duck oblivion. So they are threatening to shut down the House of Representatives unless the midterms elections are rigged. Things are getting desperate, obviously, for Trump and his allies in Congress. And they're expected to pressure some of the Republican senators today to blow up the filibuster and pass this election rigging bill, the Save America Act. You've seen heard a lot of conversation. You've seen a lot of talk about it. So Senate Republicans, the Senate Republicans said yesterday that the Save America Act is not going to happen and Trump needs to move on. Thom Tillis and Bill Cassidy, interestingly enough, who are departing the Senate in part due to Trump, said late Monday that they will be at a closed-door lunch, and at a closed-door lunch, I should say. They urge Trump to turn the page on the Save America Act. But meanwhile, some of the representatives in the House, led by Mikey Johnson, are saying that they want to that they're considering shutting down the House's activities unless this bill gets passed. So talk about threatening rather than actually legislating. That's what's happening. They're threatening rather than legislating. And you now know about the reflecting pool is further turned into a debacle that is at the feet of Donald Trump. Nobody else. Henry and I chatted about this for a quick moment. They've arrested 6 people for vandalism. I guess if you look at it too long, you could be at risk of getting arrested. That just goes to show how awful this situation is. And I know that a lot of people say, talk about moving on. Let's move on. We don't need to keep talking about it. But it's a symptom of where we are. I think talking about it is the thing that kind of has to happen, because it's as much as it's about the $14 to $16 million that's wasted. It's also about the ineptitude of this administration and all of the players, including the Republicans in the House, that are talking about shutting down the House if they don't get to, pass their rigging bill in terms of the SAVE Act. So it's important to talk about all these things. We're going to take a quick break, though, guys, because we got guests coming and we got to be ready for them. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chu. With us this morning is the CEO of Windfree Solar. Solar is, I don't know how, I guess the best way of putting this is every time I look around and I see areas that are open land, vacant lots is a better way of putting it. I think, man, wouldn't it be cool if we had solar there? If we're not going to put it on more of our, big buildings, or we're going to put more on our other places, those vacant spaces, what a great spot to have wind and solar. With us this morning, as I said, is the CEO of Windfree Solar, Eric Heineman. Good morning, Eric. Welcome back to Choose Views. How have you been, my friend?
I'm okay. How are you doing? I'm in Mexico City right now trying to score tickets for the World Cup.
Okay. Wow. Well, listen, I'm fingers crossed. People can see. I got fingers crossed that Eric can get. Listen, man, I'm glad to hear your voice. I'm glad you're well, and stay super safe while you're there. I got it. You probably heard my comment a moment ago about the. I see when I'm driving around the city of Chicago, or anywhere really, but let's keep it to the city of Chicago, and I see a vacant lot, I think, gosh, that would be a great spot for either a wind turbine or a solar panel, or small, panels to be a tool for capturing. Talk a little bit about, is Richard Chu crazy in thinking that if those lots are going to be vacant, and I know you've seen them anywhere you've traveled in the country, but we'll just use Chicago as an example. My goodness, wouldn't that be a great way to utilize that space?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I had the same thought driving anywhere, and I see empty roofs everywhere, and I think, oh my God, that's such a unused asset for so many buildings. And it's the same thought, right? If you have space, why aren't we putting solar there? Right, or winds, and you can do urban wind, or the small urban wind turbine things. You can pretty much do those everywhere. It's just a lot harder to permit, which is kind of why we just stick with solar these days.
Yeah, you said they're a lot harder. They're a lot harder to permit.
Yeah, because you've got the, AHJ, the authority having jurisdiction. Generally speaking, they don't have the ordinances set up for winds, in urban environments.
Right.
So you're doing it for the first time, or if they do, they think you're putting in a massive wind turbine or something like that. And then, wind has the challenge of it's a lot harder with the NIMBYs, the not in my backyard folks, because they don't like the site or whatever. So solar kind of has had this massive acceleration all over the world because it's easier to permit or, local AHJ have realized it's no big deal. And the only resistance right now is usually, condo boards, HOAs, those kind of places.
Yeah. If we just be more, I think this is one of those conversations when I think about just, again, the city of Chicago and vacant lots in different areas. I would rather see I'd rather see a lot have a couple of panels in it because of it's providing us with what we need in terms of energy, but I think it also betters the look of that lot. I mean, I'm probably sounding to some people very not to sound pretentious about that, but seriously, I'd rather see that there because we've got dual benefits. We've got an actual energy benefit, but we also have a maybe an aesthetic benefit as well. Panel in the lot versus vacant lot. I think I lean toward the panel.
Yeah, and you're probably increasing the value of that lot too, right?
At some point, yeah. So listen, we'll talk about two general areas. We're going to talk about the future after we come back from the break in a couple minutes. But right now, I want to talk about a current thing that is kind of leading the conversation for a lot of people like you who have been really fighting hard on how we get back this the solar tax credit and how that has been really at the top of the list of so many people like you who are in the solar business and are certified in the area of advising us in that space. Let's talk about that as it relates to the one big ugly bill and what you're working on to try to reset that conversation and get us back in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so as folks may or may not know, with the one big beautiful bill signed last July 4th, both the residential federal ITC tax credits and commercial tax credits were set to expire something like 10 years earlier. Residential ended at the end of last year. Commercial ends July 4th. So we're really trying to get the word out for anyone who, even if you're, have a business, you work from home, you could qualify for that business tax credit. And in Illinois, we've got some incredible incentives that make up another 50%. So, you got, it's 40 to 50. But in Illinois, you can get 70% off your commercial project if you're a business owner with that 30% ITC that's going away. So that's the big one. Everybody else in the country has the 30, but not after July 4th. And you have to pay some money, sign a contract, but really it's all about paying some money. You have to pay 5% of the contract to be able to safe harbor those tax credits. And then you're good for, a few years to do the project, but you got to spend money before July 4th. So that's the big problem. That's the thing ending this July. There is a Senate Republican bill happening right now, which is interesting because it's Republicans trying to extend these tax credits, and that's been happening since about April. So there's definitely some movement to try and save these tax credits and get them back. But right now we only know what has already occurred. So we're operating with the changes of the big beautiful bill. I encourage people to go solar and wind before July 4th.
So let's make sure we understand the separation. So the residential took place last year, and now the commercial for businesses and develop? Is it developers that are going to be impacted by this in a few weeks, or actually next Saturday?
Yeah, they are too. So all the folks developing really large, community solar projects or large wind projects, they have to spend money too before July 4th to safe harbor. So they're buying big wind turbines or solar panels, or they're entering contracts with EPCs or general contractors. EPCs are engineering, procurement, construction firms like ourselves before July 4th to spend some money. And that's the federal tax credit. That's the one that's these changes all affect this July 4th. Essentially where you have to just pay a percentage of the project cost. And that's what needs to happen before July 4th.
Got it.
The residential tax credit ended last December 31st.
Right. You had to buy. Did you have to make the investment by, what was it? September, and then it ended in December. Did I have that right, or do I have my dates off on that?
Yeah. You had to turn the system on, so it was even more aggressive on the residential side because you had to put your system in and get majority of it completed before the end of the year. And so we were saying, hey, that's around September. It takes 3 to 4 months on a residential solar project to get it done. So, and you need to get panels up on the roof.
So what about
that was the 25D. There's, all these different names for these different IRS tax code things. So yeah. The residential is 25D.
So, Eric, what is the amount of, how do I want to put this? I've been thinking about this question. What amount of money is an average family, if we want to put it in that context, or an average household, looking at as an investment, and then what is their savings potentially in the window of time to recoup that investment?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is different all over the country, but I think it's, I don't know. Everything depends on how big, if you're talking a house, how big the house is. You're spending more if it's a bigger house. If you have a pool, if you have a hot tub, if you're using more energy, you're spending more. Our average residential systems cost around $18,000.
Okay. And so what is typically the recoup on that investment in a residential environment?
So, when there was the federal tax credit on the residential side, when there is on the commercial, if you're talking your business and you work from home and you can somehow claim that business tax credit, and you're talking like you're getting that 70% off, then you're talking a 3 to 5 year payback. When we lose the federal ITC, which in most states, there's no other incentives. In Illinois, we've got solar renewable energy credits, and then we also have a rebate from the utilities. And that's why we're still doing a lot of residential business, even without the tax credits in Illinois. We're still rolling because we have 50% incentives. But we went essentially from 3 to 5 year payback to maybe a 5 to 7 year payback without that ITC, without that federal tax credit.
Okay. So it increased by...
the 18,000 is your out of pocket, and then, the incentives help bring that return on investment down.
Yeah, the recoup time obviously is affected by the tax credit opportunity. What states are you seeing, and we'll talk about this and then we'll hit a quick break. What states are you seeing, or for lack of better words, are leading the way? I know that, Chicago and the Chicagoland area is your home base state, but what other states are you seeing? Because I know we're doing a pretty good job here in Illinois, but where else are there state legislators that are doing the right thing in terms of creating some state tax credits?
So Maryland, people are talking about right now, is the next big community solar state. Illinois is definitely leading the way in the Midwest due to, really good state laws passed way back in 2016 even. California, Texas, Florida, those are other ones that, install a lot of solar that are, good through various policies with the utilities. But I'd say Illinois and Maryland are the two for community solar. And those are the really big projects where you're taking a lot of empty land and putting solar on it. And then anyone can subscribe to those community solar farms. But everyone keeps talking about Maryland right now as like the next big community solar state.
What is it that's unique about Maryland? Is it their state leadership? Is it Governor Moore, like Governor Pritzker, leaning into the conversation? What do you think is driving that?
Yeah, so net metering laws are always the big one across the country. So, if you have good net metering, that means the utilities are actually funding you at more higher rates for the solar. So in Maryland, it's a dollar amount, $750 per kilowatt, up to $7,500. So it's all about just money. So eligible households can receive these kind of direct state grants, just kind of like the solar renewable energy credits, which are rebates and checks that people get back in Illinois. So it's always about the dollars, right?
Yeah, follow the money.
Right, follow the money.
Let's take a quick break, Eric. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and 1520 AM, as well as 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, talking with Eric Heineman, CEO of Windfree Solar. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you were just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chu. So, talking with Eric Heineman, who is the CEO of Windfree Solar. Eric, there are some cities and communities here in the Chicagoland area that are really have really taken the baton, and they're going forward with their activity in the solar space. Evanston, Illinois, we just had on Mayor Biss yesterday, but Evanston, Illinois is one that's definitely launching programs and doing what they can. Talk a little bit about that and how you've observed what they're doing. You've got solar cafes. They're doing a lot of things to make the real effort there.
For sure. Yeah. So we just announced with the city of Evanston this program called SunPower.
Okay.
And it's a new program for income qualified homeowners. And so you have to make below a certain income. It depends on how many kids you have in your household. But really it's a free solar PV system that city of Evanston is doing for, it's at least 20 homes. It may be 30. We're going to try and stretch the budget as much as we can. And we're recruiting homeowners right now at the Solar Cafe. And they have to fill in a survey by June 30th. So they've got 6 days or so to qualify. And there haven't been a ton of applicants so far, but it's partially just because the city and Windfree just announced this week. But it's pretty cool. It's similar to a program that Cook County is doing already called Sun and Save that we've been a part of the last couple of years. That was about 50 homes in Cook County. In Evanston, we've already built about 50 solar projects on individual single-family homes already. And yeah, it's a good program. It's totally free to the homeowner. It's meant to bring down electricity costs. And City of Evanston pays Windfree Direct. We design and permit it and build it and do all that stuff. And then all our homeowners get free coffee for life at our Solar Cafe.
That's pretty cool. That has a double impact. If you're a coffee drinker, you get a coffee, and you've also done something great for the environment. So that's cool to see.
You got it.
In that same conversation around what cities are doing, one of the things that's popped into my mind, and I'm sure it's popped into other people's minds, and that is what's the scope that we have? And what I mean by scope is how do we look at where we have places that solar panels can be installed that may not necessarily be on a home. Like I said at the beginning of the show, it might be in vacant lots, which we have in any major metropolitan area, there are going to be a lot of vacant lots. Buildings or businesses that once occupied that space, they're no longer there. And then that lot is left vacant for however long until the city, if the city owns it or a private individual owns it. But if it's owned by the municipality, it just seems like it's such a common sense thing to do. I didn't say easy, but a common sense thing to do. So
for sure.
But what is the I guess the capacity that we would have in terms of energy conservation, preservation, storage, if we were to do that type of installation in vacant lots in different cities in the country?
Yeah, so I mean, I can tell you, the city of Chicago just announced this, I think in the last week or so, but they've hit 100% renewable energy. They subscribe to solar power that's on community solar on land somewhere in Illinois. It's got to be in the same utility territory as the city's located in. And it's something like 400 city-owned buildings are entirely subscribed to this community solar farm. So it's kind of hitting what you're talking about a little bit. It's not necessarily on the vacant lands, but it's definitely on community solar. And it's a big, big milestone for the city. It's something like reducing 290,000 metric tons of carbon or removing 62,000 cars from the road. Just this one contract that the city sourced.
Wait, say that, equate that again, if you could. Okay, go ahead.
290,000 metric tons of carbon, and that's equivalent to removing 62,000 cars from the road.
Wow.
According to the mayor's office.
That's amazing. And I think that's what sometimes the perception of a lot of things dictates how it goes forward, if it's going to be successful or how successful it's going to be. And I think that sometimes the case for solar is not made in a way like you just did. I mean, that's to say you're going to reduce your energy bill. We can kind of get that and go, okay, great. Well, how much am I going to reduce it? But when you put it, that's why I asked you to repeat it. When you put it in terms like that, that's something that there's a visual piece. People may not understand the carbon part, but 62,000 cars being removed, or the similar, not literally, but the environmental impact of that, people can tap into that a little bit more. So the messaging, and I'm not saying this to you, I'm just saying this broadly, including myself, frankly, that's kind of where we want to go in this space, because the one ugly bill took away something that was important to this conversation. But when you can match it up with, but this is what tax credits will do to help not just in municipalities but individuals, we can remove even more of those carbon particles. That's astonishing, yep. Eric. Wow. So let me ask you this as we make our way toward the end of the segment. One of the things that comes my way when we talk about solar is this battery storage. Talk a little bit about how that's not as well. Talk a little bit about battery storage. I don't want to lead you too much in that my question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first off, so those tax credits were preserved, so you can still get a federal tax credit on batteries till 2033.
Okay.
And that's 30% of the cost. And that's just really leading to an explosion of new battery companies for both residential and large-scale commercial, and new business models where there's, these solar panel and battery manufacturers who will pay you if you have some land to just put a big battery on your land so that you can help the grid during high demand times. So batteries can take power in low demand times, which typically are the weekends, and after midnight, and that time that we sleep on the weekends, that's low power demand. Batteries can take that power off the grid and then provide it during the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday demand times, which is typically more higher peaks. But then batteries also are great for solar and wind because they can help take that excess solar capacity or wind and put them in the batteries and then use it when, the sun's not out at night. or it's not windy and wind isn't blowing the wind turbines, right? So it kind of helps even out really the arguments of why renewable energy doesn't make any sense. Batteries help with that, the whole microgrid.
So let me ask you this question then, because I always go visual on how things are going to be perceived. So we've got panels on vacant land. I think it would be to our benefit to have, turbines in certain areas. Our batteries, would they be stored above ground, below ground, in storage facility? What does that look like?
So for residential homeowners, usually batteries are on the side of your house outside. Usually that has to do with ordinances saying you can't put a battery in your gas line. For large solar, megawatt packs, they're usually outside. They're usually in a container, like a shipping container.
Okay.
And then that's on like a concrete pad. And then usually you have 1 to 2 to 5 of those, depending on how much land you have and space. But if you think of like a shipping container, that's what we're looking at. It's filling with batteries.
Got it.
Above ground.
Above ground, yeah. No. Don't want anything seeping in the water tables if there ever were an issue, but that's another conversation. Eric Heineman, CEO of Windfree Solar. Always good to talk to you, my friend. I'm glad you're well. I hope you get those tickets that you were striving to garner while you're there. Good luck, my man. Stay safe. Go to Windfree Solar, guys, if you want to stay in touch with Eric and follow what he's doing and the work that he's doing. And thanks for being with us again this morning. I'll talk with you soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right.
Would love to come back.
You got it. We will do that. All right, man. Be well. Let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 here in Chicago, and AM 1520 and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, as well as 950 AM, that is, the progressive voice of where? Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, we'll be talking with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. We'll be right back.
He's not here to yell. He's here to inform and maybe stir the pot. This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, that pot is stirring. To Saturday, June 27th, the Bronzeville Black Metropolis National Heritage Area will be hosting, as we said before, the 5th annual Ida B. Wells Festival. And from 3 to 4:30, I'll be moderating a panel discussion co-hosted, of course, by WCPT. Illinois Tech is where it's located, 10 West 35th Street here in Chicago. It's called The Long Fight to Gain and Retain Voting Rights. And we refuse to go back. The panelists include Devorah Crable, Dr. Anthony Douglas, Dr. Thomas Fisher, and Congresswoman Robin Kelly. To register to attend, please visit blackmetropolis.org and click on the Ida B. Wells Festival banner. Hope to see you there. All right, Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we have a date with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt, and welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Good. Good morning, Richard. How are you doing? Thanks.
I'm doing well. Doing well. So much has happened in the last week that...
Yeah.
Well,
hey, they're coming for your box cutter, so put it away, will you?
Yeah, I know. So... Oh, my goodness gracious.
You vandal.
I know.
I knew it was you immediately when he said somebody got underwater and did a 300-foot cut on the... I knew it was you. So.
Right, because 300 is my number. Kurt, I know we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about a little bit of G7. We're going to talk about the success of the New York races and what I said earlier about the consultancy class. And I actually had a really good response from a listener on that. So we'll make sure to get to that, and we'll speak quickly. Listen, man, this I know people want to move on from talking about the reflecting pool. When I say want to move on, people might be measuring, going, wow, how important is it? I think it's really damn important because of one, the lies and all that part. The money part, the $16 million, as I've said a couple times in the last week or so. What could many communities do with a share of that money to improve the state of their community? Small, medium, and large community, red, blue, or purple. Okay, so that part's important. And then, but the bigger conversation is this. It's exactly what we said would happen by electing this dude. And the war is a massive version of his F-ups. So the pool, the reflecting pool is not a small item that we just kick to the curb because it's a symptom. It's symptomatic. This is the word that we should use of the greater evil. Your turn.
The reflecting pond is symbolic of his entire life. Period.
Okay. Come on.
That's who this dude is. Anything he touches turns into disaster. It doesn't matter. He couldn't sell bottled water. He couldn't sell steaks. He bankrupted a casino. And this reflecting pond is the same. If people just go, sorry, I'm getting emotional about this because this guy is just an idiot. He is a freaking idiot.
And the people around him just keep.
I'm beyond this guy. It's just. I mean, he had a press conference that said it's a thick covering. You can't cut it with a knife.
And that motion he makes with the hand like he's got a knife in
it.
But yet,
I mean,
it's boxed.
I mean, seriously, is somebody who? Let me ask you something. Have you ever been to D.C.? I know you have. Okay. You know, security is all over that place.
There's cameras everywhere.
All over.
Cameras been in D.C. for longer than in many other big cities. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what time of day it is.
Nope.
Who is going to be able to get into the reflecting pond and cut a 300-foot swath down the entire length of it? First off, do you know how hard that would be to do?
Let's take the security part out of it for a second. Let's just take that part out of it. I mean, let's just take all the cameras, all the observers, all that out of it, and the physical effort it would take to do that. It would take a lot more physical effort than the UFC fighters put forward in that crazy spectacle.
Yeah.
But the physical work it would take.
Or RFK and Kid Rock doing their, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Like Seth doing his post, whatever. He drove his motorcade across it. Let's. What an idiot! What a freaking idiot!
And this is where everybody on the right is responsible for not saying, you know what, I can love something. Listen, let me just put it this way. You and I both can say we can be down with certain things, but when somebody messes up, we got to call it out. Whether it's you or me, you and I are pretty good at going, hey man, I messed up. Clean up on aisle 7. Let me fix that, or at least recognize I made a mistake or didn't say that the way I really wanted to, or that blah, blah, blah. Framed it the wrong way. And then be able to address that and then say, now what can we learn? What did we learn? Let's move on. The GOP in its entirety, this is a moment where you got to stop and say, now what kind of a fool am I to think that somebody got in this reflecting pool, caused this problem, because what kind of fool do you have to be to let that be where your brain is? Someone sent a text earlier that one of our listeners, Lois, said, she said, I'm actually glad they're fencing it off now, because fencing it off then takes away the administration's ability, or 45's ability, to say that it's been or being vandalized. If no one other than workers can get near it, then what's the next excuse going to be? She's right on. Thanks, Lois, for that text. So,
did you see they even put guard towers up? It looks like the outskirts of a prison.
I know.
The perimeter of this.
Isn't that the weird irony of where this is morphed to? This beautiful thing that's part of all of our society, which was decimated by the incapacity of this knucklehead, now looks like it's something that's prison-like. Isn't that just some crazy irony?
It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Idiot. I just can't figure any other word to say but just an idiot.
Idiot. And all right.
Idiot. So he's never said sorry in his whole life. I can guarantee that. Never said I'm sorry in his whole life. Never, not once.
Yeah, I know.
And he is sorry.
He's a sorry A.
Sorry
something.
A.
You're right. What did you and I drink the same coffee this morning?
I guess so. Yeah, man.
Let me get your thoughts on something that was from a previous segment.
Okay.
with Eric Heineman. I've said this to people personally. I probably rant about this. Vacant lots as a means of having better use of solar and in certain cases wind. It's a broad question, but what are your thoughts about that? I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I do want to get what your thoughts might be on.
Well, the vacant lots are being used for AI centers now, and so solar energy is definitely much more productive and sustainable thing to use in those areas. And I don't care if it's farmland or vacant lots in the city or whatever, but this is what's happening in Indianapolis, is that they're going into these areas where there's vacant lots and they're putting in AI data centers. And
which are taking energy versus putting energy back into the
as producing. Yeah. So, but with the big beautiful bill and the destruction that they did to the green movement and all of that, they handed over the solar panel industry to the Chinese. They've increased their production like 25 or 35%. I read the other day, and we basically
stuck on stupid.
Not stopped, but almost come to a halt. So
yeah, we're stuck on stupid because we're not moving forward there.
Yeah. Put stupid people in charge and you get stupid results.
Yeah.
So
big money in politics, big money in lobbying, big corporate money creates the situation.
And that's why we shouldn't listen to consultants.
This is my. We'll tap on that. Let's take a break so we can come back and talk about that as it relates to the wins that took place in New York.
15 minutes already.
I know, is it crazy?
Goes by quick.
You're listening to Richard and Kurt. This is Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And yes, I am speaking with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Choose Views. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. And he's in a wave this morning. He's texting me pictures and sending me all kinds of stuff. If you are listening, great, but if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook Live, Kurt is beat red this morning because he hasn't been. It's not because he was out in the sun doing yard work.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I didn't. I was hoping you didn't notice.
Oh, come on.
And I was like, man, I got more. Richard's going to accuse me of being outside, which I was doing one of the things I just hate doing. But it's been nice around here, so I had to get some stuff done.
Had to take advantage of it. I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
He sent me this great picture of one of the WNBA players, and it's
Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham.
If anybody follows
WNBA, and you should. If you're not, you should be following it. So there.
Exactly.
There.
Yeah. I'm a big Fever fan. I support the WNBA. I think it's a great thing that's happening in our country.
Yep.
It's about time, and people are finding out that, wow, women are talented athletes. I mean,
reminding us again that
it's crazy. And the games are just they're competitive. They're entertaining. And there's personalities. This was a confrontation she had with another player, and Sophie stood there and pointed the finger. And of course, I had to make a meme that I put Trump's picture in there, and it said she's pointing at him and says, "You're a
butthole."
A-hole. So,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. So let's talk a little bit about the consultancy class. This is what. Let me read this to you because I want to get it right. It's only fair to do it the right way. And let me just give me a moment to pull it back up. One of the listeners, in terms of the conversation around listening to the consultants class, and my question essentially said that we need to listen to consultants, but they need to be of a different ilk. So Dems should definitely still use consultants, just different ones. Dems need to consult real people. Dems need to consult union leaders, farmers, factory workers, and small business owners and teachers. Dems need to consult with their other Dems that are already winning, like in New York, with Mondami. Dems need to consult some progressive media personalities like Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert. Wouldn't that make a great presidential ticket in 2028? Jimmy Kimmel and their writing staffs. So interesting perspective. Thanks to 630.
That sounds like a friend of mine. That sounds like a friend of mine.
Well,
it really does.
The point I made earlier, and the reason I asked the question about that consultancy class is time and time again, what happens is they get it wrong, not out of malice or anything of that nature, but because they're directing their energy and resources in the wrong direction. So they're only going to get the wrong results because they're talking to not to the people that ultimately that we're trying to get, that 89 million that didn't vote collectively. Right. I like what Mayor Biss said. Whether people voted for him or not, he recognized that only 30% of people voted for him. Whether they would have voted if they voted for Kat or they voted for anybody else, he recognizes that that's a problem and that he's got to make a shift. I think the consultancy class or dependency on the consultancy class is a mistake going forward. I should say an entire dependency on the consultancy class. So there you go.
Yeah, and we're talking about political consultants here. We're not talking across.
Right.
But yeah, they people, candidates and our representatives need to quit listening to them, and they need to listen to the people exactly. Whoever sent that text to you, I agree with them 100%. I jotted down a few things myself and said working people are tired of DC consultants who get paid to win or lose and create models that is on what is possible instead of what is actually realistic. I mean, we want universal health care. We want family leave, livable wages, moratoriums on data centers. We don't want the things that these consultants are telling these candidates and these representatives. And I think last night, New York proved that to be the case. And we need to listen to New York, not consultants.
Here's what's funny. Here's what's funny about that. Let me throw this in. How many people have said in the last year and a half with Mondami's rise that works in New York, but it doesn't work in Middle America or doesn't work in different places? I'm not quite so sure of that anymore because it's starting to spread to other communities that are not just New York. Go ahead.
So universal health care isn't going to work in Indiana or Illinois.
There you go.
Moratoriums on data centers aren't going to work in Indiana or Illinois or Wisconsin or wherever the case may be. Livable wages aren't going to work in Indiana or Illinois. I mean, people who say that kind of crap just need to take a seat and sit down because they've talked enough and give the podium and the microphone to the people who actually want to do something in this country and make change. And whether or not you like Zoran or I don't care. He's proven what is a winning path. And the Democratic Party is in the tank by millions of dollars. And Act Blue is reporting that the contributions to the Democratic Socialist Party are skyrocketing.
Yep.
So listen to the people.
And their membership has gone up. Their participation has gone up.
It's exploding.
It's gone up by like 3 times.
I mean,
or 300%.
Dan Goldman got his
behind-handed to him. It really did, and I like a lot of the things that he's done, but
he's an AIPAC.
But he got caught in that stream, and like I said yesterday, I by design did not ask Daniel Biss where he stands on AIPAC because I didn't want to ask him. I didn't care about his answer to that question. I really didn't care. What I care about is the other dark money that people aren't talking about. See, what's happening with AIPAC is that they're now the problem child. This is where we have to not make this mistake, Kurt. AIPAC is the poster child of the problem, but they're not the only problem. It's the other dark money that is causing problems that we're not hearing about because AIPAC is taking the frontal hit. So I didn't really care what his answer was about AIPAC because I had a feeling that he might try to indirectly defend it. I wanted them to get in the deep water with me on what about other dark money? What about election campaign finance reform? Because that's really the fix. It's not just going after AIPAC. But to your point, Dan Goldman got his behind handed to him because that was the one thing. As a legislator, he's actually done some great stuff. But his association with AIPAC caused this problem. But he did the thing that I think a lot of Democrats have got to do when they get their behind handed to them in these races. They've got to be willing to say, the fight is not against me, the fight is against the Republicans, because they're the ones that are controlling the levers of power right now in Congress. That's a fact. Whether people want to acknowledge it or not, that's still the fact.
Right. It is still the fact, and we have an enemy that we have to take care of in this regime. That is absolutely the focus. But the path to get there is not the path that the Democratic Party has been taking us down that we need to do in order to get this achieved. And AIPAC as a name, you don't see that anymore. Okay, they know that they are under attack, and people are educating themselves, and we're finding out. But what they don't understand is that we're digging deeper. Okay, you're not taking AIPAC money, but wait a minute. You took a $25,000 contribution to somebody who gave $25 million to AIPAC.
Bingo.
So that's what's happening.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
And that's what like Fair Shake, those groups like Fair Shake and some of these other crypto organizations, that's what they're doing. So that's why I didn't ask him the direct question. I wanted to know, what are you going to do around campaign finance reform?
Right.
Yeah, but listen, Dan Goldman, I met him and talked with him. I think I did. In fact, I did an interview with him during the convention in 2024 here in Chicago, and he's in the fight. But because of this association, he took the, he took the biggest hit politically.
There's a movement,
and there's others that did too. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, there were 3 candidates last night that really did well. 2 young women, which I'm just thrilled about.
Yeah.
2, not white women.
And that's what's got folks freaked out too. That part right there. Come on.
Big time.
That's what's got folks freaked out.
Big time. Yeah. You're not white and you're not named Miller and you won. Wow, it's crazy.
And your genetics are different and you're not a dude.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. But that's what's happening.
Let me ask you this on a bright spot as we wrap up today. And thanks for our little joke earlier. But about the reflecting pool. What were your feelings, as quickly as you can say them? How were you impacted by last Thursday's Obama Center opening?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it was kind of something that I forgot. WCPT put a meme out that I thought was just excellent with the building, and somebody wrote something about, imagine how much money, all this money could have been for, used for feeding the homeless or whatever, But it was from Walter Matterson, and he had a comment on the bottom of it and said, it's all contributed funds and all that. It completely missed it went right over so many people's heads. They didn't read the whole meme or understand it. What took place and what happened, I mean, it was a beautiful sight to see how this country can come together and unify. And we saw people from different walks of life and different ideologies come together. And they did that for a couple of reasons, for the respect for Barack Obama. But I also think they did that to make a clear statement to that idiot that's sitting in the White House right now that we as a country, we're done. We will stand together and you will not destroy us. We will destroy you. Yeah. And this is who we are going to get behind. So, all the negativity and whatever, I don't care. It's a beautiful building. It's as unique as the man himself was.
Yep.
I should say.
Good observation.
It makes
there.
It makes a statement, and I think it's something that was heartwarming to see. So
wouldn't you have loved, because this is you and me, wouldn't you have loved, the last thing I'm going to say, to have been Barack and Hillary Clinton, because they were yucking it up, and that was funny as hell to watch.
yeah.
Just like you and me.
I've always wanted to know what those two talk about.
Oh gosh. All right, y'all. Kurt and I did it again. Good to see you, my man.
Yeah.
Get back outside, get some more sun on those skins.
Get out of here, man. My yard work's done for a week.
All right, man. See you next week. Have a great rest of the week.
All right. Take care of yourself.
We'll do. All right.
Be good.
773-763-9278 is the number. WARR 1520 AM, WCPT here in Chicago, and AM 950, Progressive Voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chew. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you are just tuning in, this is Chew's Views. Of course, I'm Richard Chew. Great talking with our friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 and yucking it up with him about everything from yard work to this reflecting pool. And, of course, Democrats, listen to folks that are on the ground. Those, as one of our other listeners said, the consultants should be those people who are in those what we call everyday working class positions of employment and other parts of the society. Listen to what they are saying. That's the kind of the new consultant class. So thank you for that. Let's see. We got a couple of comments. This is from Cindy in Michigan. The reflecting pool in its current state is doing a good job. This is her take on it. It's a true reflection of the insides of Trump's deteriorated mind and psychological state, and those of his delusional followers. Wow, that is good stuff, Cindy. Thank you for that. Let's see what else we've got here real quickly. Okay, yeah, ranked choice voting was used in New York's elections, so that does play into the how things turned out. Okay, there we go. I want to circle back to a couple things. Tulsi Gabbard. Google her today, guys, because Tulsi Gabbard has got some issues or potential issues that are coming her way. Who you have in your faith column, whoever you are, who you believe in, I'm not criticizing anybody for where they are with regard to their faith. But there's some things that are coming out now about Tulsi Gabbard being puppeted by, some people are saying that by someone essentially as a guru that was essentially giving her policy talking points and making having access to information that as a DNI she should not have made available to him, whether it be in writing or conversation. So we'll see what comes out of this. But pay attention to Tulsi Gabbard and what's going on. And this guru that she was working with and may still be associated with in some ways. So just to remind you of that. I like what Kurt said about the Obama Center as it relates to the effectiveness of bringing people together and the fact that it is not a library, just a library. It is a center. So it's designed to make sure that people have participation in its in the activities that are going to go on there. So, and Mike will appreciate this. The character Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy from Beverly Hills Cop 2, should be there to help clean up the pool. I could not say that. I'll probably say that again. Just just have a meme. That's actually it. Mike is good at this stuff. Mike, you should create a meme of Axel Foley showing up, saying, "Here, I'm here to clean the pool." I have to have fun with this because it is we have to laugh at the insanity of this week A administration and the dude that is at the top of it. I mean, this pool is as I said earlier, it is emblematic of what is wrong with this administration. Some may say it's a small thing and we should get past it, but he's lying his behind off and trying to lie his way out of it and blame everybody else, which once again is the playbook for Donald Trump and all of his minion. It's everybody else's fault. We don't take responsibility for it. It's their fault. They're the bad ones, which is BS right now. It's them. So we have our wins in New York. We have our wins that progressives win races, and that's what we want to see. We want to see more of everyday folks winning races, and we got to talk about that. We got to talk about why that's one of our superpowers right now. We have a few. But we also have to keep reminding everybody that this garbage that we're dealing with right now as a country, it's because of the GOP. It's because of those on the right. It's not because of the Democrats. The Democrats need to do a better job. We know that. We say it maybe more often than people want to hear. However, what's going on with this pool, what's going on with this war in Iran, our fecklessness with regard to Ukraine. The laundry list is long. This is in the lap of the GOP. Mike Johnson is standing in the way of his caucus doing the right thing and reining in Donald Trump. That is why they're so damn afraid, and they're forcing the issue around the SAVE Act to try to change the narrative when it comes to the midterm elections. Because they know they're going to get their behinds handed to them far worse than any Democrat did in some of the primaries in New York and other areas. They know that. That's coming. But we have to be the ones to hold on tight and stay in the fight in this regard. We cannot back away. And you know, I had a conversation with someone recently that, and this is something that, we have in the country right now a lot of people who poo-poo the successes of the country. Oh, we got some calls you want to grab. Should we? Can we go? Okay, good. I'm going to shift gears. Let's go to George. George, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, Richard. You know, one of the legacies of George Washington is that, I cannot tell a lie. Now, correspondingly, one of the legacies of DJT, Dishonest John Trump, or I like to call him now Dishonest John Triumphant, with all of his achievements, is that I cannot not tell a lie.
There you go.
With that poll, with the reflecting poll, I saw something late last night, early this morning. Stephen Chunk, DJT's, public affairs guy who writes a lot of social messages.
Yeah.
The guy who walks around with refrigerator on wheels next to him.
Yeah.
He apparently made a video recording of DJT and his 15 vehicle entourage driving over a dried up reflecting pool to see for himself how the repairs were coming along. Now, I saw this on the internet recently, within the past 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's correct or not, but I'm just putting it out there that he is supposedly blaming bystanders just looking at the pool for vandalizing the thing, which is ridiculous. No one can come within 50 yards of the place without being observed. And while at the same time driving his caravan of those king-size vehicles over the pool. I mean, is that a possibility? I wish maybe you could take a look at that.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen what you're talking about. So, yeah.
How is that? I mean, he's really got it coming and going.
Yeah, that's why I cannot not tell a lie is a good label for him. George, thanks for calling us this morning and giving us a shout and your observations. We appreciate you.
And Richard, I used to be George in Oak Park. Now I'm George in Rogers Park.
There you go.
So I'm that George. Okay, Richard. All right. To you and yours. Have a good afternoon.
You too. Stay safe, man. Thank you for the call. We appreciate you. George is like, George Washington said, I cannot tell a lie. Donald Trump is like, I cannot not tell a lie. Yeah, that's a good one. Mike's making a meme. I can see him back there cooking in the studio kitchen. Let's go to Carrie in Springfield. Good morning, Carrie. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. This is what gets me about the reflecting pool.
Okay.
Think about this. How many times let me phrase it right. How many times have you observed paint being underwater and it stays?
Well, see, Carrie, look, man, look. You're trying to make too much sense here.
Let me get this one in, though, Richard, real quick, too. Like I told my wife, how many driveways have you seen with asphalt on it and it comes up? Think about it. The man, and this guy's supposed to know construction. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
This
I know.
This is nothing. This is nothing but a grift he learned in New York through construction. He's been running these grifts for so long. He got that contract, and we know who's getting the majority of that money.
That's right. That's so true.
The grifter himself.
Yep. Can't paint the bottom of the pool. Yeah, I know. Good point. Good point. Good point, Kerry. Thank you so much for your call this morning. Stay safe down there in Springfield.
Richard, you take care.
All right. Talk to you soon. Bye now. Oh, my goodness. Hilarious. Totally hilarious. Let's take a quick break, and then we come back. We're going to grab another important call. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM, 103.5 FM. Yes, that's down in Warren County, North Carolina. And up in Minnesota, the Progressive Voice, AM 950. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. I'm Richard Chu, and with us this morning is one of Chicago's great leaders. I won't say, up and coming leaders. His life has been in public, and he is one that's, done some things that most people couldn't do, and that is Yusef Jackson. Good morning, Brother Yusef. Welcome to Choose Views.
Choose Views. What's up, Richard? Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good to hear your voice again. I know we haven't seen each other in a minute, but I have to say this right out of the gate. You are someone that has lived their life in the public eye, and I just want to thank you for that, but also thank you for sharing your late father with us for so many years, and even sharing his homegoing ceremony with us. We really appreciate what you and the family did to allow us to hug him one more time, and all the great leadership that he provided for so many years for so many people. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, Richard. Can I comment on that?
Yes, please.
I want to thank the public for being so kind to me, so kind to our family, for allowing us to put my father to rest with a level of dignity that may very well have been unusual, for sure historical, for the type of services that we were able to offer him that the public allowed us to do. As a young son growing up, it was very difficult to reconcile what my father was trying to do. His necessary absence from the house to serve the public was something that children have a tough time doing, sharing your father with the world. And now as a father of 5 myself, reconciling with them, sharing myself in a role, I want to say, Dad, I'm so sorry for giving you so much drama.
Yeah, man.
You didn't make it to the PTA meeting or something. So,
Now, listen, man, that right there is one of the great moments of grace when we, as we get older as folks, but it's certainly as guys, as men, where we look back and go, yeah, I understand how hard it was for my parents to do what they had to do, because now I'm having to do my own version of it. So kudos to you for being self-reflective enough, man.
Listen, I have been in the car with my dad after he's given a rousing speech at a school, and literally, he talked about, a message of hope, and not drugs, and turn your TV off at night, and no radios blasting. Back in those days, we had boom boxes, right, and cassette tapes and all that. And I'd say things like, well, Dad, what do you think of my grades?
While Yusef, while he's still in the physiological ether of just giving this a rousing speech, now he's got to look to see that you got an A- rather than an A+. Oh man, I know what you mean. I appreciate that. But it goes without saying, and I know it's going to be said for the rest of your life, which is kind of a blessing, how much your father changed the world. He literally did change the world. And I'm a benefactor of that, and pretty much anybody that I know is. So, but again, thank you for sharing his life with us and sharing his homegoing with us as well. Thank you. Listen, man, Juneteenth was quite a weekend this weekend, because we had the Obama Center opening plus celebrating Juneteenth. And someone said something was said indirectly, not to me, but to someone that I know, and they shared it with me. And I want to get your take on this. This person said to a friend of mine, Juneteenth celebrating Juneteenth is, I don't know what everybody's all up in arms about. It's silly. How does that, I know you weren't there for the conversation, but
no, I wasn't there. But I will tell you, there were times when I was young and immature, and I wasn't sure what the purpose of Juneteenth was either. So I'll extend them the grace that I hope that you extend to me for being able to weather that part of my development. It's one of the most important holidays in the history of America.
Yep.
Because Juneteenth made America. America today could not exist half slave, half free. You could not have the economic opportunities we have in the country, half slave, half free. The American ideal of liberty and justice for all, that we're all born with inalienable rights, that we have the right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. All of our foundation ideological documents are based on an idea of liberty and justice for all. That was not possible without the reconciliation that happened on Juneteenth. So a friend of mine asked me, should he was laughing, he was like, should I say Happy Juneteenth to white people? And I didn't take it as a joke. And absolutely. Congratulations that the good-hearted people, the good-natured people of America fought a war and won and created a free society. Don't forget how sexist the country was.
Yep.
Don't forget that women couldn't vote when the nation was founded. Native Americans couldn't vote. African Americans couldn't vote. Immigrants coming from Europe couldn't vote. None of us were full citizens until 1865 and through the 14th Amendment, 1868, and then really fully enfranchised in 1964 and 1965. So it took hundreds of years so the truth, liberty, and equality through this country has unfurled over our 250-year existence. It didn't just start in one place.
Nope.
In fact, truth and liberty and equality continues to unfurl. And I say that's why my father and our ancestors said, I'm not going to ever give up on the promise of America, because I want to do my part to help the unfurling process continue in the period of time that I have on earth.
It's the growth. It's the what can be, what can happen. The words that your father created for us to try to live by or have part of our dialogue is to never giving up on hope. Because what I believe hope has means to all of us is where we can go. How intentional and directional we can be with our energies and our efforts and our beliefs, and what that can do to inspire other people and bring them along in the process. And that's why I love how you phrase that in terms of unfurling what's to become, what's unknown, what's still out there.
And the hope thing is hard. Why is the hope thing hard? One, because between 1776 and 1781 and 1787, it was 100 years. 1865. It was 100 years before we got rid of Jim Crow. 1964 and 1965. So 200 years of a journey is what required for part of us, for the nation to begin to heal from its original sins. So in that 200 years is your journey of hope. And that's why some people in the journey of hope rely on an everlasting God. Some people rely on an everlasting star, whatever it is. But whatever it is, it's got to be strong enough, permanent enough, stable enough to sustain you for that period of time.
Yes.
And typically, it's not something on earth that sustains you for that period of time. So you can call it what you want, but you may have to hold out.
Yeah. This is a great.
I was going to say what's kind of funny about Juneteenth, man. The story I grew up with, and I really kind of believed it. I had trouble with it until not long ago. They said that the enslaved community didn't learn that they were free, and then I began to think about that more critically. And I said, for all of the ingenious ways that slaves got news from plantation to plantation, the Underground Railroad, the songs, the dances, there's no way all of a sudden the information train stopped between 1863 and 1865. So I said, the guys didn't know sounds baloney. What's more likely is that they knew, but they were fighting a Fallujah-type resistance. and they were less able. And Fallujah is kind of the example, if you remember the Iraq War back in the day, it's a kind of example of entrenched slave masters, entrenched slave holders under the color of law and culture and everything else, armed resistance and what do you call it? Despotic rule.
Yep.
Did not allow the law to be adhered to. And so those slaves knew what was happening. There was nothing they could do about it because it would cost them life and limb. And those elements that kept that the lid on slavery exists today.
Yes.
You may not say it's slavery, but the elements that resisted the law and face to preserve a culture exist today.
Well, and a good example of that in terms of real time, what's happening in terms of holding people back, that Fallujah-esque fight is the Voting Rights Act and the gutting of that. That's a modern day tool that's history is directly connected to my life, all of my lifetime, and that's civil rights, voting rights amendments. So it's real time. It's not something, again, this is where a lot of people go and they think, well, that was a long time ago. No, it wasn't. It's right now. And they're taking away of the Voting Rights Amendment and Article 2 and what it represents is another version of that, fighting that war today. Wow, what a great way to merge those two, Yusef. Listen, man, I got to ask you this question. It's important to me. You are in the role now of heading the organization, Operation Push, National Rainbow Coalition. How's that impacting you? I've said at the beginning of the segment, short that it is, that you were born and raised in the public eye, and now that you are leading the organization, how is that impacting you?
First, I'm honored to be able to serve. I say that what made the Jackson family strong was that there was a sacrifice of poor people. My parents traveled a lot. They gave of themselves for the country and the world. And so you can grow up a latchkey kid if you're not careful. That can happen in these kinds of families. But there were poor people who caught the bus, a sense of stability, who gave us a sense of religion, who left their kids to come and help raise us the right way, so we didn't go the wrong way without parents sometimes there. And I feel such an obligation to those people who are no longer here. I was honored to be able to serve. I would hate that my life would be reduced to what I can accumulate for myself and the four corners of my family when people sacrifice to give me a chance to help support and lead a people and help do my best to help the country continue to live out its ideals. And so I felt that obligation. I think every Jackson felt that obligation for the people that raised us, and that's why I'm serving today. So I love serving. Now, on the other side of it, it's an absolute personal journey because it's not something I had been put in position to do. So I'm reading my Bible, I'm reading my texts, I'm learning, I'm reading from some of the great philosophers of the world to continue to prepare the foundation of my understanding so that I can withstand the necessary headwinds and currents that will inevitably come our way.
Absolutely. Yusef Jackson, thank you so much for being with us this morning, brother. Good to hear your voice. Always love your sense of humor and your energy. Stay strong. You know where to find us, and look forward to having you back in the future, okay?
Peace, Chicago. Peace, Minneapolis. I love y'all. Thank you very much.
Be well, man. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Guys, thanks for being with us this morning. Thanks to Yusef. Thanks to Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. We love it when he's with us. And thanks to Eric Heineman from Winfrey Solar. 773-763 is always our number, 9278, of course. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. It'll probably be pretty funny and good. And most definitely take a deep breath and make your life count, because we will see you tomorrow.